What is your greatest fear in real estate? What are the real estate horror stories? What have we gone through in the last 25 years that you're going, oh my goodness, that should never happen? The main one that pops in the top of my head is we hate rent backs. Hate them. When somebody says, oh, I'm the seller and I want to rent back and I don't want you to move in right away. Here is the problem. The problem is the second the home closes, the seller is no longer the owner. They are the tenant. And the second the home closes, the buyer is not a buyer. They are officially a landlord. Generally speaking, there's a crappy lease agreement in place. And both parties, we tell them, get your insurance. And we don't want them staying. So we didn't want this to happen, and it happened anyway. And heaven forbid this never happens to you. But what you need to protect yourself is you need a lease agreement, landlord insurance, and you need your regular insurance. And then you need to force the seller to get tenant insurance to insure all of their belongings. And I would make them sign something that says you are not responsible for all of their belongings. Because a couple days after they closed on the property, the home burned to the ground. And if they didn't have insurance, the buyer would have been out, the seller would have been out for all their stuff, and the buyer would not have been protected if they were not carrying landlord insurance. So, one, we really dislike rent backs if you didn't catch that. Two, if you're gonna do it, make sure you protect yourself with extra insurance and specific agreements. This really applies to you, my real estate investor. You've bought that ugly house. You didn't get to see the inside of it. And all of a sudden you walk in and it's the hoarder house. And there's the trails. There's the smell. There's the stuff everywhere, the insects, the rat poop, the traps for the rats that are dead and they're in the traps, next to the poop, next to the food, next to the trails of stuff. One of them we walked into, I'm not kidding, they must have loved Chobani, that yogurt. There were like 90 used yogurt containers in the bathtub. It's like they just ate them and throw them in there. But we all know that a milk product, just doesn't smell good. The smell was atrocious in this property. So we've been lucky and unlucky. We've bought properties at auction. We've bought foreclosures. We've bought them where we haven't been able to get inside. And we've bought them with hoarders. We've bought them where we've been able to get inside. Here's what I can tell you that you have to watch out for and pay attention to. You've got to watch out for the health hazard to you and your crew. In other words, there are ones where you fully need a hazmat crew to come in and your guys should go in there ready to rock and roll. Two, you've got to watch actually out for sharp objects. Like inside of this trash and debris, there are always little sharp objects. And so anytime that you can use shovels or other equipment to be able to pick it up, great. Three, if an owner is around or a family member or someone that knows them, you need to exhibit compassion, even when you can feel the bile building in the back of your throat. And I'm being dead serious on this. They're embarrassed. Control it. Your job is to say, it's not that bad. It's okay. Don't worry. We've seen worse. We will fix this and make this beautiful again. We go into a home in Linwood and there's just this mattress and it's got all of these stains all over it. And you're thinking, is this a horror movie? Did someone die here? What is going on? Your brain thinks stuff like that all the time. One of our guys went to touch it. I said, don't touch it. Thank goodness he didn't. Full of bed bugs, like the grossest thing in the whole wide world. That's just part of being a real estate investor. It's okay. You have to just prepare for that. Drop the big can outside. Throw everything away. Tear that thing down to the studs. In some cases, we've had to rip the studs out. We've had to rip the subfloor out. A lot of the times, too, you're going to find mold and water damage and things from rotting food and dead animals. It is disgusting. Don't cheap out and not fix the problem. If you see this, don't be greedy. Rip it all the way out. Take it all the way down to whatever needs to be done and repair it and make it right. Because your job is to make it right once you see it, not just to put the lipstick on the pig. Yes, investors, I'm talking to you. Lastly, I think you need to think about this in a very quick, effective time frame. The quicker you clean up a property, the more the neighbors like you, the less the cops are getting called on you. And then everyone in the neighborhood is then rooting for you and supporting you because you're revitalizing the area. And then sometimes what we do too is we even go knock on the doors of depending on the neighborhood and be like, hey, we're fixing this property over here. This is what our vehicles look like, just in case someone's breaking in or you see someone who doesn't look like it's going to be here. By the way, we're going to repair this. We're going to make it look better than new, and we're going to make it beautiful. When you say that, and we're going to bring that pride of ownership back, the neighborhood supports you and they're behind you the whole way. Lastly, in order to do a gross activity, like clean up a hoarder house, you have to make enough margin to make it worth it. All of this takes time, money, and energy, and some of it will take more time, more money, and more energy than what you're thinking. So don't do it if there's not enough of a margin being created, because there's risks involved. We have, like I said, removed all the debris and found walls and flooring rotted. That wasn't in the budget. We've removed all the debris and found out that they ripped the wiring or plumbing out of the wall right behind it. There's things that you can't see that are unknown. So if you think the bid is $50,000 for conversation's sake, you need to take that bid up another 10 to 20% to deal with this unforeseen circumstances, because you'll never know everything that's there. And you always underestimate how much physical trash is there. For some reason, we always underestimate the amount of trash by a good 20, 30%. And then we underestimate the amount of heavy things that are there. I'm talking like big pieces of metal, like a drive shaft from a car, an axle. I mean, just things that are hidden in people's backyards that are expensive to throw away. Hey, if you got more hoarder stories, drop them in the comments. If you got questions about this, let us know. Otherwise, subscribe and keep hanging out with us on our real estate journey.